fuck out of bed, bitch. Go. Get up, and then they got go on. Gotta wake up, bitch, get up. Get up, get up.
Welcome back, Banter fam, and you're watching the Bitcoin chart. You're looking at the Bitcoin chart. One big red candle. Bitcoin down about $1,500 today because of this. What caused this little dip? Well, it was a little dip in the US stock market. But as you can see, the US stock market has recovered and Bitcoin hasn't recovered. So that's what caused that dip. But if you look at it, we are very much in alt season. Big alt season at the moment. We're at the part of the cycle where we're looking at large cap alts now. The cycle has moved, and as I said to you guys earlier, we are right here. We are right here. So when Bitcoin, Ethereum, now we're just entering the large cap alt run, then it's going to be small cap alts, and then it's going to go get back to Bitcoin, and that's what happens every single time. So today we're going to be talking about how you should be positioning yourself in this next part of the alt season, now that large cap alts are running. We're going to be talking about Ethereum flipping Bitcoin. I said already that it's happened. I don't understand. We've said it's happened already. Oh, so Mike McGlone. So we have Mike McGlone, who's from Bloomberg. He's a friend of mine from Bloomberg. He's going to talk to us about his Bitcoin price predictions and his predictions on Ethereum. And I think his predictions on Ethereum are about the same as my predictions on Ethereum. And then we have a new shopping list. We have a new shopping list today, guys. Remember, I told you guys I'm going to give you guys a new shopping list. Well, that is happening. So we're going to give it. We have the new shopping list. What else? We are giving away $500 of Star Terra. $500 of Star Terra. Here's how you get the Star Terra. You have to be a subscriber of this channel, and you have to subscribe to our new channel, which is called Microdose, and the link is in the description here, and Freddie will also put it at the bottom in the comments as well. Microdose is for people who are time-starved, who need 10 minutes of crypto content every single day. That's what we're going to do. Sheldon's charting updates are going to be on Microdose only. So if you want Sheldon's charting updates, Microdose only, every day, dropping at different times. Every time that the market moves, Sheldon will drop his new update charts in Microdose. So subscribe to Microdose and hit the notification bell. And if you do, we get a mail from YouTube. Tell us that you've done it. We'll give some Star Terra away on this show and some Star Terra away to the comments. The reason why I like the Star Terra giveaway is because we're giving away $100 of Star Terra, right? It sounds like you're only winning $100, which is a lot. We gave away $400 earlier. We gave away $500. It sounds like it's nothing. The thing is, this is $100 at pre-IDO price. That's what people don't understand. So this thing does 100x. You got yourself 10 grand.
We're getting them involved in an exclusive sale.
Yeah, jump on the stream, Freddie.
Yeah, I think, let me just mute you here. What's epic about it is that, as you said, it might seem like $100, but you're getting involved in an exclusive sale in one of what I think will be one of Luna's biggest projects over the next couple of months. And what seems like $100 now, we've all seen the power of getting into private sales in a good market. It's not to say you can't 100x your money, who knows? But yeah, the project is that good.
Project is amazing. Luna is amazing. We support anything on Luna. In fact, Orion Protocol just launched about an hour before the show. And we, as Banter Capital, put in a whole lot. We started staking a whole lot of money on Orion Protocol. So we think that one's also going to do amazingly well. So if you want to win the Star Terra pre-IDO tokens, go now to the link in the description below, which is for the new channel, the Microdose channel. subscribe to Microdose. Subscribe to Microdose. Who was it that said Star Terra is the trade of the year? Because someone there said it. Someone said it, and that person knows. That person, there we go. I used John. He knows. He knows. Smart man. I used John. $100. Give the man $100. $100. I've been told I'm shining. Yeah, there's some light coming in here. We're gonna just survive this studio for a few more weeks. This is a great studio at Pick Street. Freddie will put up the studio sponsor link in a few minutes. What else? Okay, so welcome to our channel. Subscribe if you're not subscribed already. Go and subscribe to the Microdose channel, because that is where you're going to get your microdose of crypto content. 10 minutes every single day of charting, 10 minutes of fundamentals. And yeah, that's pretty much what it is. Let's quickly catch up with Sheldino, just catching up with you before. Anything happening on the charts?
I saw there was a nice little pullback candle on Bitcoin, but I see dominance still tanking. So the fact that dominance is still tanking doesn't really take my alarm bells, doesn't really worry me too much. We know the difference. When we see a big bounce in dominance and we see Bitcoin starting to come down, that's when we start to have a look. But for now, I'm still good. The microdose, by the time that comes, I will have a few more candles and I can update on that.
Today is actually all about the big caps, the large caps. That's exactly what I said. I said, we're in that part of the cycle now where it's all about large caps. You saw Solana, you saw Arweave, you saw Luna. Today, we're going to be talking about why they are running. We're going to be talking about the fundamentals behind them. We're going to be looking at a price target for Bitcoin, not coming from me, coming from a friend of mine who he's pretty accurate with his price targets. This is the interesting part. In fact, he's pretty accurate with everything that he does. So we'll get you back in a sec. I think let's get into the price targets and let's get into the views of Mike McGlone from Bloomberg. I see him in the waiting room looking sharp. Oof. Man's looking sharp. The man is looking sharp. Mike, you are looking sharp. How are you, my friend?
Well, hello, Rand. It's good to hear from you. I listened to your podcast with Scott Melker, and I'm completely honored to be your friend and be in your presence, because that was an awesome podcast.
Thank you, my friend. Completely honored to get you back on the show.
Thanks for having me.
Are you going to be sharing a screen at any point? Because if you are, there's a share screen button on the bottom of your console. There should be a share screen button somewhere. And that will allow you to share charts if you want to share charts.
Yeah, I can do that. It's however you want to do it.
Yeah, let's do it. Let's share some charts.
Okay, I'll get this set up. It's just going to take me a second. In the meantime, we can talk. So I appreciate your views on Ethereum, and I agree with you.
You agree that Ethereum has already trumped Bitcoin, has already flipped Bitcoin? I like
your view, and so it inspired me. I listened to it on a bike ride yesterday. So that's what I love about podcasts. A lot of us become intellectually stimulated when we're doing other things, and so it inspired me to come back and check the volumes on the terminal. And yeah, the volumes and Ethereum has surpassed it. I heard that's happened in a lot of exchanges, Coinbase, Celsius, some other places, and yeah, it's just what's the next step is the market cap. Now, I did some projections on that projection. Then that's going to take a little while, but it's just a question of time.
So, if you look at Ethereum, people are often mistaken because they think that the market cap of Ethereum is the market cap that you see on CoinGecko, on CoinMarketCap. So, I'm going to just call it up on my screen, and everyone makes this mistake. So they think that when you look at the Bitcoin market cap, which is now 877 billion, and you look at the Ethereum market cap of 378 billion, that's the direct comparison, but it's not. Because you have to remember that the majority of the top 10 tokens, or the top 20 tokens, or the top 30 tokens, are all built on Ethereum. So for me, when I look at the market cap of Ethereum, I always add all the other ERC20 tokens. And then you can get a real understanding of Bitcoin versus Ethereum. Active addresses, Ethereum growing faster than Bitcoin. Transaction volume, Ethereum bigger than Bitcoin. Transaction value, Ethereum bigger than Bitcoin. So pretty much on every metric, Ethereum has already flipped Bitcoin, except actual market cap. And I'm going to look to you to tell me when that's actually going to happen.
Yeah, that's a matter of time. Questions when. I'm going to try to share right now, share screen. Let's see if I can do that. And if you do, so let me just, you can see, you see some.
Yeah, we see your screen, we see umbrellas. We see a whole lot of umbrellas, and we see the Bloomberg terminal now. Now we see the Bloomberg terminal.
Yeah. So I mean, I was at the Bretton Woods last week. It was an awesome conference. And this was my takeaway, what I published on it. And that is what stops Bitcoin and the dollar from advancing. Now, Bitcoin's measured versus fiat currencies, which is a major advantage because we know about Bitcoin and Ethereum. They have declining supply versus every currency on the planet is all the supply is increasing. So by nature, these have to advance in price of those fiat currencies. But to me, my key takeaway was the dollar is gaining dominance globally. So you showed that screen earlier, Ren. I'm like on CoinMarketCap.com. I like to sort by volume, and it puts Tether right on top. On the screen you showed earlier, can you sort by volume?
Yeah, you can. I can sort it by 24. So I'm looking at your screen, and yours is sorted by volume. And you can see that the volume, Tether has the biggest market cap.
Yeah, so to me, that's a significant trend that's been really kicking in this year. Yes, we all want prices to go up, but you hear this narrative that, that China is going to launch a CBDC and it's going to hurt Bitcoin and all that stuff. And I like to point out the facts of what's happening organically in global free markets in cryptos is the world has embraced the dollar as the world's global reserve currency and embraced Bitcoin and somewhat Ethereum as global reserve assets. And the key question I ask myself is what stops this? I don't know. And I, as a strategist, I'm like, well, what's the key takeaway for me at Bretton Woods? It just keeps going. And I don't think the U.S. is dumb enough to mess it up. At least we hope they're not.
Okay, so in your view, you published an article the other day that said that Bitcoin's going to get to 100,000 before it gets back to, did you say 40,000? Was that the number?
So I'm putting that up right now. Ethereum is a guidance for Bitcoin to get to 100 grand. Now, I first published that back in February. And of course, there was a little pushback when it dropped to 29,000 from 65, but that's just part of what I do. And I'm quite confident Bitcoin's getting to 100 grand. And the question's time. So the lesson you have to learn in my space, I'll pull that chart up a little bit, is be careful putting the time on it. But
on our screen, we can see your coin market cap. So maybe you want to minimize the coin market cap so we can see the actual article.
Okay. So I'm on the wrong side. There we go. We're going over there. How about this?
No, there we go. Yeah, there we go.
Okay, so I don't remember my last chart on 100,000, but it's very simple we don't have to show the chart. I mean, I'll do the flipping one. It's very simple. Yeah, this one will show it. This is a year it should do it, and I can go into all the details why we all heard about, we've all heard about the stock to flow, but to me, 100 grand is not. In a year like this, a year after a supply cut, and a year with all this massive adoption of Bitcoin into the mainstream, and these debates you see in the House of the U.S. legislators, just a sign that it's getting there. It's a question of time, and this is a likely year to get it. So here I just show market caps of Ethereum and Bitcoin, and it's just going to be a matter of time to catch up. It just take a few years. That's what I show you in this chart. But, maybe the graphics aren't looking so... are they looking okay on your end?
Well, the graphics are fantastic.
Yeah. So I just have to get to that 100,000 chart. So here's a very simple one to show Bitcoin getting to 100,000. And I'll just show it based on the new narrative that's kicked in this year. So we have to assume Ethereum's going to keep outperforming Bitcoin at the same pace. Now, that could happen. But even if it still does, the whole tide is rising. So I show this is just the performance this year of Ethereum in white. Bitcoin's up 60%. Ethereum's up 333%. If you overlay that performance, if Bitcoin just catches up to where Ethereum was, when it was around $2,000, Bitcoin gets to 100 grand. It's just a matter of time. And it's also the way Bitcoin typically works. It's appreciating versus gold. It usually locks in around, first of all, it locked in at 1,000, then it locked in at 10,000, and then it just goes to the next level within 4 or 5 years. So I see 100,000 as the next level. And the key question is what stops it? And I don't see what stops it at the moment.
How long does it take to get to 100,000?
So that's why I figured you asked me that, and that's why I have to be careful as a strategist. I fully expect it's going to happen this year. But, that's the thing I got to be careful as a strategist saying, hey, it's going to happen in 2021. That kind of pins me down a little too much. And you got to expect bumps in the road. Like, to me, what's happening today is the biggest bump in the road I've been worrying about. It's the macro. The U.S. stock market is way overdue for a 10% correction. It might have finally found that excuse today. That's going to bring the whole tide lower, most notably Ethereum. But I fully expect them to bounce back, just not not right away.
So what caused the US market today to dump? And by the way, I'm looking at the screen now, and even though the US market did dump, I mean, it's pretty much back. It's only down 0.4%. So you want to call it a dump, it's hardly a dump. 0.4% on the Dow Jones. It was down much more, but it's now recovered.
So today means nothing. It is nothing on a big scale. Here's the fact. The S&P 500 hasn't had a 10% correction since last year's swoon. That's almost unprecedented. Oh, it's been over a year now. It almost always has a 10% correction. The longer we delay it, the more likely it's going to be worse. So the way I look at it, use Warren Buffett's analogy, basically you have to see the tide go out to see who's wearing clothes. And until that tide goes out, be very careful with the macro. Be very careful with stocks. And even you have to be cognizant of that if you're buying Bitcoin. Yeah, I'm bullish Bitcoin. But we have to expect that little bit of a tide to go out and then to see how things settle. So my key outlooks for 2H are Bitcoin, gold, and long bonds. So long bonds have really kicked in. They've plunged in yield. They're going back up in price. Gold has recovered and Bitcoin's recovered. So what's the significance of all those markets? They're enduring long-term bull markets that have had corrections. What are you supposed to do as a responsible investor? Look for those opportunities to get a discount in a decent bull market. So we've had that. I think the low that 30,000 Bitcoins in, it doesn't mean it can't get to 40. I think it's going to 100. But the bigger picture is the stock market needs that correction. It has to get through it. And we have to see if those dip buyers come in. Until that happens, we're overdue. So look, I look at what's happening in crude oil today. Crude oil was way overdue for a plunge. It's down right now 2.6%. So if my eyes are darting away a little bit, it's because I'm looking at my screens. And it was completely being held up by a rising tide in the stock market. Poof, now that's gone. And today's nothing. I mean, you need to see 10% lower in the S&P 500. And guess what? That's what it's always done historically.
Exactly. Mike, what would you say to someone who says we are too late to get into crypto? It's too late. We've missed the boat. What would you say to those people?
Well, I enjoy hearing that, Rand. And just like you, I've heard it since 2013. And I'm a classic convert. You know, I thought it was silly internet money 10 years ago, and I've come around. The way I look at crypto is you're supposed to accumulate. Now, some people can trade, and I like the way you described it in your podcast with Scott. Exactly the way you should do it. Accumulate a basket of the most significant ones. Obviously, Bitcoin and Ethereum, and you can play with the rest of them. And then use a little bit for play money for more tactical trading. But the way I look at crypto, you're supposed to be accumulating and not worry about 50% corrections. And give it 5 years and expect 10x. If you're right, that's the way I look at it.
We love 50% corrections because we need to accumulate, and we can't accumulate when price is up. Mike, good to see you, my friend. We will chat to you again soon. We're going to move on. We are a little bit out of time. Thank you, my friend. Be well.
Good seeing you, Rand.
That's my friend, Mike McGlone. He's from Bloomberg. He makes some very accurate calls. So if he says Bitcoin's going to 100,000, I think Bitcoin is going to 100,000. Let's talk about being late, because this morning when we saw the big caps running, we saw Solana running, up 40%. We saw Luna running. Have a look at Luna now. Luna is up 25%. Solana's up. We said Solana's up. Luna's up. Arweave is up. And these are big protocols that are up. They're up a lot. The large cap protocols are moving in big increments, and that's amazing because that kind of tells you that we're moving into the next part of the alt season. The next part of that tells you that is if you look at the Bitcoin chart. And I want to bring Sheldino back here. Sheldino.
Yo.
I want you to do me a favor. I want you to look at the Bitcoin chart and the Luna chart. And I want you to tell me the price of Bitcoin when Luna last broke its all-time high.
Okay, cool. Well, let me get them both up and then we can have a look.
Because I want to show you guys something here to show you why I think we're going into probably the most aggressive alt season of our lives. These are the clues that I'm getting here. The clues come from seeing that the recovery in altcoins is happening a lot quicker than the recovery in Bitcoin. Bitcoin was at an all-time high of $64,000. And Bitcoin is only now at $46,000. So it's down 25% from its all-time high. But the altcoins, the good altcoins, are back in all-time high territory. So things like Luna is back at its all-time high territory. So even though Bitcoin is 25% away from its all-time high. Luna is back in all-time high territory, which kind of shows me that the good alts are growing much quicker than Bitcoin. And when that happens, we need to forecast a little bit forward and think to ourselves, what's going to happen when Bitcoin goes back to 64,000? Because Bitcoin inevitably is going to go back to 64,000. And then you're going to get altcoins like Luna, like Solana. I mean, let's instead of Luna, let's put Solana there. And what you can see is that Solana broke its all-time high, even though Bitcoin is nowhere near all-time high. And Ethereum is nowhere near its all-time high. Ethereum is still 25% away from its all-time high. But the large cap altcoins are running. And they're running very, 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 very fast. And that's exactly what I said in my tweet yesterday. I said that we're now in large cap alt season. Now, if you think to yourself, the speed at which these large cap alts are running, imagine what happens when the small cap alts start running. So if the large cap alts are running 25, 30% in a day, imagine what happens to the small cap alts when the small cap alt cycle starts. And we can see that the small cap alt cycle is probably next. So Solana, then Luna, then Arweave, and then we're going to start moving all the way down to the small cap alts. And so what we can see is that the next part of the cycle is actually going to be led by the altcoins, not Bitcoin and not Ethereum. It's going to be led by the altcoins. And the altcoins are going to drive an altcoin season second to none. And the idea is to be able to read the narratives to know what to get into. And that's what we're going to be talking about today. We're also going to be looking at whether it is too late. And I think Chris Berniski says this very, very well. He keeps saying, or he said last night in the tweet, he said, my biggest weakness as an early crypto investor has been thinking I'm too late when the reality is it's still early. Caused a handful of painful misses. We're in a very, very, very early part of this of crypto adoption. And every time we think we're too late, the prices go up and the adoption gets bigger and bigger and bigger. And I think Raoul Paul summarized it very well. He said, this technology is growing faster than the internet. Did we capture a video with him? I think we did. Let's have a look at that.
The internet was growing at 63% a year from 1990 to 2000.
Right.
Right now, and in 1997, the internet had 140 million users, which is exactly where we are with crypto right now. Crypto is currently growing at 113%. So the internet was the fastest adoption of any technology in all recorded human history.
Right.
Crypto is twice the speed of adoption of the fastest ever recorded technology in all human history. We get to 1 billion people by 2024. That's exponentiality, my friend. We can't get our heads around how does 140 equal that, but that's what it does. I think by 3 years we'll have broken the back of it, meaning the tide will have moved. Now we've seen the early adopters, that's clear. We're all celebrating those victories, but then it's just going to become regular that we hear this. So we'll have broken the back of the momentum, and by about 5 years, 5-6 years, it'll be expected, and you'll have to be answering to your trustees or your board why you've not used crypto.
So we are watching the biggest adoption in history of any technology ever. The blockchain is currently growing at twice the speed of the internet. And we are now where the internet was in 1997. But the most important thing that Raoul Paul said there is he said, we can't get our heads around how big this growth is going to be. Because the only frame of reference that we have is the frame of reference of the internet. That's the fastest growing technology that we know of. But this is growing at twice the speed of the internet. Now, when something grows at twice the speed of something else, the growth becomes exponential. And that's why I called it the exponential age. And so if you think that you are late, under the assumption that you somehow think that you are late, just think that there are only 140 million accounts, or 140 million Bitcoin accounts, 220 million accounts in total. And we're just getting started. And every time that you think that we may be too late, just think that the biggest weakness, and Chris Berniski is a very, very, very astute investor, and he says, my biggest weakness as an early crypto investor has been thinking I'm too late when the reality is that it's too early. Bless you, Jimmy. Bless you, Jimmy. If you think that we are late, just remember that only today did Walmart advertise a position, get this, Walmart advertised a position for a head of digital currency and cryptocurrency products. Now, Walmart is one of the biggest retailers in the United States, and only today are they advertising for digital currency and cryptocurrency product lead. Now, I think that what Walmart are doing here is they're going to start looking at ways to integrate crypto and payments into their business. And if they do that, then the thesis is exactly the same as what I told you about Amazon. Remember, I said to you that Amazon, just by eliminating credit card fees, which are 2.5% or 3%, could double its profit. It's the same thing. Have a look here. I dug into the Walmart profits. The Walmart profits, just have a look here. You're only really worried about this chart over here, which is the bottom one. But their entire profit margin hovers between 1% and at the highest 3.6%. Now, credit card fees are costing them 2.5% to 3%. So eliminate the credit card fees, start accepting crypto, no more credit card fees, just pay with your mobile wallet, your crypto mobile wallet, and what happens? You all of a sudden double your net margin. So imagine the biggest retailer in the US, or one of the biggest retailers in the US, can double its margin by just starting to accept crypto. And I thought that was the Amazon thesis. In fact, I still think it's the Amazon thesis. I think they're just covering up their story. But if you think you're late, you're in before Walmart. Only 5 companies in the US, 5 of the top 100 have got it on their balance sheets. So if you think you're too late, just keep reminding yourself of that. Now, if you're going to trade, then right now is probably not the best time to be getting in. And I saw this because I looked at the fear and greed index. And the fear and greed index is looking greedy. So right now is not a good time to be jumping into anything short term. But if you're buying for the long term and you're buying to hold in the long term, then it doesn't really matter to you. Yes, you can watch Sheldon's show for timing your entries and exits if you want to be trading. But if you're buying for the long term, then it doesn't really matter. You're buying for the long term, you're buying for a year or 2 years. Whether you bought Arweave at 21 or 19 or 18 doesn't really matter, because we're talking about protocols that are going to go up for long periods of time. And that's why we say you should dollar cost average into the protocols that you believe will change the world, and then give them enough time to actually do their thing. So that's what's going on now. And remember that crypto is actually about narratives and it's about cycles. So it's a play of two things. It's like, what is the narrative and where are we in the cycle? We know that we are about here in the cycle. We're at the low cap alt, so Bitcoin's run, Ethereum's run, and now we're at the low cap alt part of the cycle. So we know that that's the cycle. And then what you got to do is you got to overlay narratives above that. So you know where we are in the cycle. You know that we're in the large cap move, and you know we're going into the small cap move. But then you got to ask yourself the question: where are we in the cycle? What are the narratives? The cycle, large caps, still a little bit of time for the large caps, the good large caps, and then we're going to go into small caps. What are the narratives? Now, remember I said to you, was it July? What date? July 28th. So July 28th was 3 weeks ago exactly. I said to them 3 weeks ago, I said, what did I say? Play the video. So Cardano, August, Charlie 3, Giro, Cards Wallet, anything that's building on Cardano, August. Don't wait until end August to buy it. Start thinking about what's the next narrative. Look around the corner. Try and look around the corner. And that's, you make the most money when you take a chance about what's around the corner. If you're right, that's great. If you're wrong, you're going to lose a lot of money. That's the chance you take. That's why you take a small part of your portfolio and you do it with a small part of your portfolio. You got that? So that's exactly what we said. You got to look forward. You can't be playing today's narrative. You got to start thinking about what is the narrative going to be next month and the month after and the month after. Last month, I told you that I thought the narrative for August was going to be Cardano. At the time, Cardano was down. This is the Charlie 3 chart, which I mentioned in the video. And you can see that on the 28th of July, which when that show was, I was trading at $1.36. That went up to about $3.95 or $4. At the same time, Cardano, which was, again, we spoke about Cardano because we were looking forward to understand what's coming up as opposed to playing the narrative on the day. Cardano is now 212. And if we look at it on August, on the 28th of July, it was 127. So you would have almost made 100%. And that's the idea. The idea is to start looking at the narratives. What are the narratives that are coming up? And then start looking for the low cap alts and the high cap alts that are going to be inside of those narratives. And if you look at what the narrative is right now, so we do have narratives at play right now. What are those narratives? Well, let's look at the tokens that ran this weekend, and then let's try and identify what the narratives are at play. And you'll see that there's two narratives that are big at play now. The coins that ran this weekend, the big coins that ran this weekend were Arweave. So let's look at Arweave. Or no, let's look at Solana first. Or let's look at Luna first. I mean, they're all the same. Luna ran this weekend. Luna's up since Friday. Friday, I think it was $15. Today, it's $21.88. Okay? What is the narrative here? Why is it going? It's a large cap alt, but also the fundamentals are very, very, very strong. Remember how Luna works. The more use of the stablecoin Terra, you have to burn Luna to mint Terra. The more dApps that are building on Luna, the more US dollar stablecoin, UST stablecoin that's going to be minted, and therefore you have to burn Luna. And today, Orion.money, do I have the Orion.money? I don't have the tweet from them, do I? I don't. But they are raising $70 million, so burning $70 million worth of Luna just to get $70 million staked in their protocol. So Luna, large cap alt, good fundamentals, and increasing adoption. Those three things equal price goes up. Let's look at the other one that ran this weekend. The other one that ran this weekend was Arweave. Why did it run? Well, Arweave ran because we look at where Arweave came from. So it's up 36%. If we look at it in the last 7 days, I think it was about $15 when we called it on Friday. $15.65 or even less, $15.79. Why is Arweave running? Well, because the fundamentals are strong. Their transaction values are at an all-time high. 4.3% for Wednesday, 28% for Saturday. And the graph of growth in the Arweave chart is literally growing exponentially. So this is the growth chart of the transactions on Arweave. It's growing exponentially. What is the narrative? Large cap alt, solid fundamentals, solid adoption. Kind of simple, right? That's the narrative at the moment. Let's look at one more, Solana. So Solana's exploded. Solana is absolutely exploded. Never seen anything like this before, even beyond what I thought. And that's why I wouldn't recommend aping into Solana now, because the degen apes caused this, right? Solana up 42% today. Why? Let me show you why. Because Solana is getting into NFTs, and there was a big degenerate ape NFT sale, which sent Solana to an all-time high. So NFTs are coming to Solana. Solana is getting adoption. So we're seeing a clear pattern here. The tokens that are running now are large cap alts. Yeah, exactly, large cap alts with fundamentals that are increasing in adoption. Luna, Arweave, Solana. Matic hasn't had a big run yet. Matic will probably run. Hey, Freddie? Hard. Matic must run because it's a large cap alt. It's a formula. Just look, Fantom gonna run. So it's all about narratives, kids. It's all about narratives. Right? Correct. It's all about the narratives. Okay, so I did tell you guys I was going to give you guys another portfolio today, looking at the narratives. So let's get the other portfolio and talk about the narratives. Remember, the first portfolio I gave you guys was at the bottom of a dip. And the portfolio that I gave in the bottom of a dip was a moderate risk portfolio. It wasn't so risky. I called it the recovery portfolio, and that's what it looked like. And right now it's up 154%. And you can see specifically that the risk of the portfolio is balanced. And it was created on the 21st of July, and today on August 16th, it is up 154%. So, yeah, but don't tell BitBoy, because BitBoy will say his portfolio was better. It's not. Could never be, could never be, could never be. Today I'm going to show you a higher risk portfolio. It's for people who are willing to take more risk. And the reason why it's for people who are willing to take more risk is because the prices have gone up a lot and because I've put in some riskier tokens. So this is for people who want to take risks. I've called it the high risk club. It looks something like that. It's not financial advice. It's not financial advice. And I want to talk to you about why I'm building this portfolio. And I wouldn't ape into all of it right now. In fact, I'm going to give you guys the entry points. So unlike the other portfolio where I said go in on that day, I'm going to give you guys the entry points. Let's look at this portfolio. So every portfolio in the world, I think, must have Bitcoin and ETH. You have to have Bitcoin and ETH. Yeah? Okay. The next token that I put into the portfolio is I put FTX, the FTT token. And there's a reason why I'd put FTT and not Binance. And I've said this to you guys before. I think that FTT is going to be replacing Binance as the biggest exchange. It is by far the fastest growing exchange. And in our next show on Microdose, we'll talk about why we think FTX is going to take the top spot from Binance. Then I said in the last show, when you're looking at narratives, the next big narrative is going to be Polkadot. We said Cardano is now, August, and Cardano will happen again in September. Because remember, when the mainnet for Cardano launches, which is when the smart contract mainnet launches, that is when Cardano will actually really, really run. Because then you're going to see a whole lot of these projects start to launch. So we've had a pre-run in Cardano. Then we're going to get the next run in Cardano. But at the same time, I think later on this year, we're going to start getting the parachain narrative from DOT. And that's why I said, this is quite a DOT-heavy portfolio. Arweave, I've told you about. Luna, I've told you about. And then there is one large cap alt, which hasn't run yet, and that's Fantom. Fantom, it's run, but not as much as all the other tokens. Whereas tokens like Solana and Luna and Arweave are at their all-time highs. If we look at a token like Fantom, call it up for you guys on the chart, Fantom is nowhere near its all-time high. So Fantom, I think the all-time high was close to $1. It's still trading at 38 cents. And it is one of the majors, and it doesn't have as much adoption as Luna or Arweave or any of those tokens, but it is one of the large caps, and you can see from the chart that it's starting to turn up here. In fact, maybe let's get Sheldon just to quickly look at this chart properly for us.
Yo.
Yo.
What's up? I'm busy enjoying the show, buddy. Okay, let's get...
I hope you're writing this all down.
Of course.
So zoom out. Let's look at the higher time frame on Fantom and look where we are in the cycle on Fantom, as opposed to...
You know, if we have a look, and I think the best thing is to basically put them together again. And we can see, let me just clear this one. There we go. So you can see, obviously, after the big drops, now sideways, and you can see how Solana's absolutely had the big crash. And it's the same thing I'm expecting from Fantom and a lot of the coins that are getting out of this sort of... let's just get this line in player, that are getting out of these accumulation phases. So still the break of this, as I said this morning, the break of this for Fantom, I see the big acceleration the same way. And I just want to show you how it's the same. You see the break where we had this accumulation. There's the break. You see where we're at here, accumulation. You see the break that we want. So Fantom is looking good on the breakout.
Thank you, Sheldon. We're going to get you back here in a few seconds. All right, so that is why I would be putting some money into Fantom. Then Coti. Coti is probably the same chart. Let's get Sheldino back here. Sheldino, let's do Coti quickly.
Cool, buddy. Let's have a look.
I think it's the same chart. I think if you looked at the chart, you'd probably see the same chart. Now, remember, Coti are working with Cardano to launch their stablecoin. Coti is developing the Cardano stablecoin. That's pretty much... And Coti are a payments gateway and everything else. I think we lost Sheldon. Is there no internet in the dungeon?
Yeah, it's dropped out.
Okay, so Sheldon will be back, and when he's back, we will look at the Coti chart. All right, after the Coti chart, we're going to get a bit riskier. So it is things like BitDao. BitDao has just launched. It is such an exciting decentralized autonomous organization, DAO, which is funded by Bybit, and that's launched today. So let's keep our eyes on it and watch my Twitter and watch Sheldon's Twitter and watch Microdose later, because we'll tell you if we think it's a good time to be getting into BitDao, but it's an amazing one to be getting into. Then we move to the much more risky ones, things like Akash, things like Pickle. Now, I'm playing narratives here, and I'm making sure we've got tokens in all the narratives. Akash is a decentralized web computing protocol. It allows people to get decentralized computation power. We're going to get them on the show this week, aren't we? Tomorrow. Okay, so they're going to be on the show tomorrow. And again, it's a token which hasn't yet recovered. So if I look at Akash and I look at the price that it was before everything, and then I look at the price of where it is today, it doesn't make sense to me that Akash hasn't recovered for a protocol with such great traction. So you can see that the high for Akash was $7.17 and it's still at $2.73. So for me, Akash is probably one that I'd be looking to buy. But again, you're talking about these are high risk. This is a high risk portfolio. Then we're looking at Pickle, a decentralized finance play. Was trading at $45, today trading at $10, risky. Polkadex, love Polkadex. Remember we said the narrative of Polkadot is coming, and when the narrative of Polkadot starts, the best play to be making in Polkadot is actually to start playing the dexes, because you need a dex to play on. And I think the one dex that we think is a good play is Polkadex. Then you got some other interesting ones. DFYN, which is the QuickSwap competitor. So QuickSwap has had an amazing run. We did call it in our previous portfolio. And DFYN hasn't had the run yet. So that's another one that we're looking at. Alrighty, then Unmarshal, also a DeFi play. Then Bird Money, which is an Oracle play. And then three high risk high risk ones at the end. That's Nahmii, which is a Ethereum layer 2, Tornado Cash, which is a mixer, which allows you to do anonymous transactions, and Gala, which is an NFT gaming play. Now, this is a very risky portfolio. You shouldn't go and buy it all today. We're going to look for the right entry points in these tokens. But if you've got this portfolio, you've got yourself a high-risk portfolio that is with a 2-year holding period. So this is a 2-year holding period. Don't look at it again in 3 months and say, hey, Mr. Ran, you said these tokens would run and they've gone down. We're talking about a 2-year portfolio. We're not trading in and out of this portfolio. We're looking at it again in 2 years. We're going to get into it and we're going to hold it for 2 years. And if you do, you've got yourself a mix of amazing tokens that could give you very high returns. You've got some safe ones, Bitcoin, Ethereum, FTT, DOT, Arweave, Luna, and then we're going to move on to the riskier ones. Fantom. Let's see if Sheldon's back. Maybe we can get a Coti chart. Are you back?
Yo, I'm back.
Share your screen. Let's do a Coti chart.
So if we have a look, very similar to where we're at. So you can see all of them as soon as they break through these ranges. So Coti, exactly what you're calling now, is still very early. It hasn't had that, remember, big acceleration one side, big acceleration the other side. So Coti's still very early, and it's still at this stage over here for where Solana was.
That's exactly what I said to you. I said to you it would look exactly like the Fantom chart, and that's exactly what it looks like. In fact, put the Fantom chart underneath Coti. Let's have a look at it instead of Solana.
Okay, cool. Let's put it in there. There we go. So if you have a look chart-wise, exactly the same charts. They're in the same phase, haven't had the pump yet. Dominance is still tanking. And obviously when Bitcoin's getting weak, dominance is still tanking. So that's still a good sign that the alts, they're all going at different times, but they're all not there as a whole market just yet for a biggish correction. For now, my opinion. Okie
dokie. Guys, we are going to give away some Terra tokens. You have to be subscribed to Microdose. You have to be subscribed to Crypto Banter. You've got about a minute to go before we give them away. Let's quickly look at this portfolio again. Bitcoin and ETH are your safe options. Then FTT, then DOT, then Cardano, Luna, and Fantom. So you got yourself 7 very solid tokens. And then you go into the riskier tokens, BitDao, Coti, Akash, Polkadex. And we will tell you guys when to start buying these, but this is our shopping list. This is our watch list. Things like Bird, things like Unmarshal, you could probably start buying now. Things like Nahmii, you can start buying now. Things like Tornado Cash, you can start buying now. FTX, I'd probably also start buying now. I guess the two that I'm really scared of is I'm scared of Arweave and I'm scared of Luna because they had very big runs over the weekend. So even though I love them going forward. I had some big runs over the weekend. So maybe dollar cost average your way into those. And we'll keep an eye on that portfolio for you guys. Should we give away some money? Drop some comments. Tell us if you subscribe to Microdose. Let's see how many subscribers Microdose actually has. And then we'll know if people have subscribed or not. That is how we do it. $12,300, which means we've got 12,300. That's not a lot. Okay, we are watching you guys subscribe. So subscribe to the channel. Subscribe to the channel. Let's get those numbers up. That's our new channel. There will be 2 more shows on Microdose today. And if you're not subscribed, you're not going to know when they're happening. So subscribe, smash the bell button, get the notifications going. All right, and let's give away some Star Terra. Okay, Khalid Hilabi, you are in. You got yourself $100. Who else? Okay, Saad Ali. Wait, hold on. We missed Saad Ali. Okay, but let's give it to Candy Norton and Saad Ali. So Saad Ali and Candy Norton, you guys have got yourself $100. We should leave some for the people who do it later in the day. Let's leave some for the people who do it later in the day. There are some super chats. Let's quickly go through the super chats. Do I know about ADAX, the DEX on Cardano? I haven't heard of it, no. Ron, which platform do you buy the high-risk coins? Most of them are on Uniswap. Star Terra me. No, sorry, we can't do Star Terra for super chats. 100 times honor, much honor, Star Terra me. No, we can't do that for super chats, guys. My wife doesn't love me. Can Banter please send me some love, Star Terra? I mean, that's quite a story, that. All right, guys, love you madly. We will see you guys again later on today. 2 more shows today, all on the Microdose channel, all in the description. It's in the description of this YouTube video. Subscribe. See you all later. Until then, trade well, my friends, and use the after hashtag Banter to discuss anything on this show.